Tropical Storm Melissa will become a life-threatening hurricane in the coming days, and if I'm being completely honest, I am quite concerned about this storm system and the impacts it could bring to places like Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, even into the Turks Caicos Islands, the Bahamas, and we even need to watch the East Coast between the day 7 and 10 time frame. But most of our focus is going to go towards our family here in the Caribbean. We're going to go over all the latest info that we have from overnight into this morning. We'll speak on impacts. We'll geek out with you guys a little bit and just to discuss the environment that could promote a very strong hurricane in the coming days in the Caribbean. So after that, we'll round it off with today's forecast across the entire lower 48, and then we'll be done. If you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. And of course, we're praying for you folks down here in the Caribbean with this upcoming storm. So let's get rocking and rolling this morning. This is Tropical Storm Melissa. It's popping off very healthy convection this morning, and this is indicated by the colors you see on your screen. These whites and pinks, this is colder cloud tops, which means we have taller, stronger updrafts, which basically just means we have a very strong and healthy thunderstorm activity associated with the storm. It's still being blasted by some shear on the western side of the storm, some westerly shear. So I think this will continue to be the case over the next couple days or so, but I can tell you this is looking a lot better this morning than it did, say, last night. This thing is moving very slow. It's really bogged down overnight, and we were expecting that. So just wanted to show you guys a live view of this system this morning. Let's move past it. The latest from the National Hurricane Center, it's a 50-mile-per-hour tropical storm moving west-northwest at 7 miles per hour. It's 1,000 millibars, so it's deepened a little bit and gotten a little bit stronger since last night. And if you notice here, it looks a little odd. The cone does. This is not your traditional-looking cone. Everything's kind of smushed together. All the S's are really close to each other, and then they go to H. The S stands for a tropical storm. The H stands for a hurricane. And the reason everything's squished together is because this thing is going to not move a whole lot between now throughout the entire weekend upcoming all the way into early next week. It's going to be a very, very slow moving tropical system, and that is going to be a big storyline with Melissa over the next several days, really the short-term foreseeable future, honestly. So we already have hurricane watches up for areas of Haiti, tropical storm watches up for Jamaica, and I think this will change by the time some of you folks watch this video. Could have upgrades, especially for Jamaica, as this is trending a little bit further west. Another way to look at this cone, which I like a little bit better, it's called Zoom Earth, is this. It kind of shows you the intensity forecast with it also. So this is expected to become a hurricane sometime Friday afternoon, a Category 1 hurricane, but the peak intensity forecast of this is now a 105 mile per hour Category 2 hurricane. And you notice the cone is just one big circle. It's because it's going to be so jumbled up. I mean, the center of the storm could potentially go down here. It could go all the way up here. Remember, this cone is not the impact cone. It's where the center, the actual low-level circulation, or if this is a very strong hurricane, the eye of the hurricane could potentially go. So I do expect upgrades to at least tropical storm warnings in Jamaica, and eventually hurricane watches and hurricane warnings will likely get issued for all of Jamaica. And if you're tuning in from that area, certainly say, hey, you definitely need to watch this system, certainly in Jamaica, as this system will probably bring kind of the first impacts, if you will, to landmass that will be to Jamaica. So anyways, this is the latest cone peak forecast intensity, 105 miles per hour, and I expect that to even increase more based off the model data we're seeing this morning. The latest European model run, we're going to start off 48 hours from now. This is for Friday morning. Jamaica here, we got Cuba, Hispaniola, Turks Caicos Islands, Bahamas up here. So we're going to get this in motion. If we're going off what the Euro is saying, it's not thinking this is going to strengthen a whole lot between now and the next 48 hours. In fact, it actually indicates it weakening. Not sure if that's going to be the way it happens, but let's continue to move this forward. We get into Saturday morning, not much strengthening. This is now south of Jamaica. And then we get into Sunday morning. Now it's strengthening, 990 millibar low. And then we get into Monday morning. Look how this is now fully tucked in right smack dab in the middle of the Caribbean. And listen, the further this sinks south, the stronger this is going to get. I mean, to me, it's inevitable. The shear really lightens up down here. The waters are still warm throughout the entire Caribbean. If this sinks south, it's going to take off like a rocket. So it's a 9:71 Monday morning Jamaica. I mean, you're thinking, okay, we're good. This is going to move away from us. Not so fast. We get into Tuesday morning. It's a 9:51 millibar hurricane. That's probably at least a category 2, maybe a major category 3. And then this gets into Wednesday morning of next week. So we're a week from today, and we are still full-fledged talking about this, folks. This is 1 week from today. 1 week. Crazy. It's a 9:34. This is definitely at least a category 3 or 4 hurricane. And it's hitting more so the western side of Jamaica, and then it comes up, makes a direct landfall into Cuba as a major hurricane about a week or so from now into October the 29th, 30th time frame. And then it's not done. It's going to rumble through on this run through areas of the Turks Caicos, the southern Bahama Islands, and then it takes off. And listen, it certainly misses the East Coast, but it's not super way off the East Coast. Like, it's not way out in the Atlantic. In fact, there's a little bit of a tug from a trough, and we'll talk about this when we get deeper into the video, that actually tries to yank this and kind of prevent this from fully just getting knocked out to sea. And it actually goes all the way up and eventually hits like Nova Scotia 10 days from now, the last day of October. All right, what about the GFS? It has been stubborn, but finally this morning it adjusted west and now has a scenario where this actually hits Haiti. But listen, it still has not, I think it's just now starting to adjust. But it's finally catching on. If you go to the run last night, it was way over here. This is the current run. That is a massive one-run adjustment off a model run. And I just think the GFS is just really a struggle bus right now. It's just a struggling model. It's just not good. But, I will show it to you, and then it heads on off. Now, what's really concerning to me, folks, is these hurricane models. Every single one of them take this to a major hurricane. We're going to start off 48 hours from now, Friday morning. Jamaica's right here if you're tuning in. This is Haiti, okay? By Friday morning, the H-Wharf model says this is at least a Category 1 hurricane. And it comes up, sneaks right smack in the middle of Haiti, Jamaica, and then this is the southern eastern shoreline of Cuba, and sits here and spins as a major hurricane. This is Sunday. This is Monday morning. Oh, this is getting into late Sunday night into Monday morning. And this is a 944 millibar hurricane just north of Jamaica, just south of Cuba, bringing impacts to both. I mean, folks, this is Saturday morning, Sunday morning, getting into late Sunday night into Monday morning. I mean, that's it's inevitable. This is going to hit somebody. This is the HMON model. Okay, gets this together a lot slower, sneaks this well south of Jamaica as we're getting into Saturday morning. This is Jamaica. And just actually kind of takes more of a European track. We get into Sunday morning, this begins to really take off because it's deep down here in the Caribbean. It's not being bothered by that wind shear to the north anymore. And then we go all the way to the end of the run. And this thing is still just kind of slowly ticking southwest into the Caribbean. I mean, it's a Category 5 hurricane at the end of the run. And it's eventually going to turn north. No doubt about it. This is Friday morning on the HFA model. Okay, this slips well south of Jamaica and proceeds to strengthen into a Category 5 hurricane at the end of the weekend. This is a 901 millibar low south of Jamaica. And this eventually has to come north. When does it? HFB model. Same thing. Takes this off Saturday morning. It's already a Category 2 or 3 hurricane. Sunday morning, it's a Category 5 hurricane and bottoms out to a sub 900 millibar low. Now, don't sit here and tell me that this ain't possible, because it is. This is an area of the ocean we've been talking about that has not been tapped into this hurricane season. It's very possible. Now, this is a phenomenal tool to use. It's called the Grand Ensemble. Tomer Berg, hopefully I'm saying his name right. It's polarwx.com. Phenomenal site. This literally combines all ensemble guidance except the UK Met and throws it on the screen for us. And all these weird little squiggly lines are all the individual members from all the ensemble runs. But the mean is this black line right here. The mean has shifted west if you compare this run to the run yesterday. So the ensemble mean has this slipping like the hurricane model somewhat. And it almost follows exactly what the operational Euro shows, almost exactly. Okay, comes up, brings huge impacts to Jamaica, if not makes a landfall, and then really likes the idea of central to really eastern Cuba, and then comes up through the areas of the Bahamas and the Turks Caicos Islands. Now, if you extend this a little bit further out, there is a couple straggler members that kind of hug closer to the East Coast. But you can tell that there's a lot of these members that slip deeper into the Caribbean. Now, some of them do come up and hit Central America, will come down and hit Central America. So that's worth to note. As far as impacts, folks, this is the timeline. This is the chances to see tropical storm force wind gusts between now and the next. I always forget to mention this. Between now and the next, but basically between now and 2 a.m. Monday morning. Okay. So Jamaica, you already got a 40 to, in some cases, a 60% chance to see tropical storm force wind gusts, basically 40 mile per hour wind gusts or higher. And same thing with Haiti, and this will eventually get into Cuba also. But I mean, this extends. There's a chance all the way out to the Dominican Republic, all the way getting to even the coastline of Nicaragua and Honduras. So, and in the timeline of this, the timeline to see tropical storm force wind gusts almost covers up the entire Caribbean. But this is the timeline. If you want to stop the screen here, we should start to see a lot of impacts from this later this week into Jamaica, Cuba, especially into this weekend. This only goes out all the way to about Saturday, 8 p.m. Now, the rainfall forecast, this is the Euro ensemble. I know a lot of folks down here go by millimeters, but Jamaica, the entire island, anywhere from 100 to 200 millimeters of rain is likely. In inches, you're going to at least get 6 to 12 inches of rain for many folks down here in the Greater Antilles. The only area that might be all right is Puerto Rico and maybe western Cuba as far as just flooding. But that could change. Okay, but there's obviously a huge signal for a lot of rain. And here's the key down here if you're wondering. All right, this is in millimeters. Now, there hasn't been an update from this right here. I don't think since last night. But this is the forecast rainfall for Haiti, Dominican Republic, getting a little bit in Jamaica. And if you're wondering, Jamaica, eastern Cuba, why haven't they updated this? Well, they just haven't updated it. Or you might be wondering, why aren't they forecasting more rain? Well, that's because they haven't updated this, and this only goes out to about early Monday morning, I believe. No, it actually only goes out to the 25th. So only the next few days or so. So, one thing I do want to mention is this is the 500 millibar flow. So this is the flow in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere. And what I'm going to tell you is there's going to be a very energetic pattern across the U.S., the lower 48, to end the month of October. You can see there's a lot of energy flying around. You got this huge trough digging down. This will help to scoop up Melissa. The thing that I want to watch with Melissa here is, come on. This is diving down like this, and then the flow around this is going just like that. You don't want this to sort of, the flow around this trough, digging down across the eastern U.S. to capture Melissa and sort of force it into this area, or if the orientation of this trough changes to like this, then you would have the flow kind of digging down like this, and then it could actually yank Melissa more so into the mid-Atlantic or the Northeast. We have to watch kind of the positioning of this trough, because sometimes they can tug on these late season storm systems, kind of like with Sandy, not trying to freak anybody out, up here in the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast with Sandy. But that's what happened. We had a kind of a different position trough. It helped to yank what was Hurricane Sandy right into the Northeast. Now, in this scenario, it's around just enough to kind of, I would say, pull on it, but not slow its forward progression before it eventually just kind of goes right into Nova Scotia about 10 days from now. But that would be a significant storm system for Nova Scotia. So there's so many people to watch between now and the next 10 days. And it is just going to be a very active end to October with a very energetic pattern that could bring some crazy weather itself across the eastern U.S. Now, as far as steering currents, This is a tough one to explain, but I'm going to try to explain this in a very simple way here. Okay, there's a high pressure right here. There's a very weak high pressure right here. And there's just a trough up here. So a lot of flow, and this is for 2 days from now, so Friday morning. So a lot of flow up here. The flow around this high pressure is going like this. Okay, and it's weak, but flow is going around this weaker high pressure like this. And then you see this blob of yellowish orange. That is Melissa. It's kind of chilling right in between all this rapid flow around all these features, high pressure and low pressures. Trough up here is lower pressure. So this system's kind of just right smack in the middle. It's kind of in a dead zone steering current wise. So it's not being really steered, to be honest with you. I mean, a little bit of a push from the trade winds going through the Caribbean. So therefore, the system just kind of hangs out down here. We get all the way into Sunday, not much movement. And then we actually start to get into, late Sunday into Monday. And this ridge actually tries to sort of build on top of this. Looks like there's some sort of central high pressure, maybe right into here. And this, I think this actually tries to yank this on the Euro back to the southwest somewhat. So it actually pushes it back down into the Caribbean. And you're seeing that with hurricane models also. So continues to be just a weak pattern in general, but I think there's a little tug on this when this high pressure kind of over Mexico, Central America, that actually yanks this a little bit deeper into the Caribbean. Now, eventually this takes off like a rocket because it gets deeper into the Caribbean, encounters those very, very favorable conditions for tropical development. This thing takes off. You mix with the fact that this really explodes, right? So the fact that it explodes, stronger storm system wants to gain latitude. It wants to fight to get north. And then you combine that with a very simple steering current explanation, and that is the fact that you got a trough digging down here. This is quite literally going to yank this up, and that's exactly what happens. So you got kind of two things working in tandem there. Strong storm system wanting to gain latitude, and a trough digging down, scooping it up, and slinging it further north rapidly, very fast. So another great way to look at this is just looking at, honestly, troughing and ridging here, which shows up in the pink, shows up in the blue. And you see lack of that down here. This little blue blob, that is Melissa. And there's just a whole lot of white behind it. I mean, there's just no real steering influence with this. And I mean, it's just its own kind of just all alone blob of blue right here. And eventually that big blob of blue up here in the southeast dives down. That is our trough, which brings a lot of flow with it and scoops it up and slings it back up. So, hope that makes sense. Now, as far as what will allow this to take off, the easiest thing to explain here is sea surface temperatures. I mean, it's 30, 31 degrees Celsius. You convert that to Fahrenheit, that's mid upper 80s. Some areas it might be even 90 degrees out here in the ocean. So, rocket fuel for that. Next thing you look at is the upper wind pattern. I'm going to look at one of the hurricane models here. And this particular run is the HFA, has us at 978 millibar low Friday morning already. I think that's a little bit too strong, but we'll see. Now watch how this number drops by like 50 millibars at least as we are getting into Saturday, as we are getting into Sunday, and we'll stop it here. This thing, as it gets kind of tucked well south of Jamaica here, almost creates its own environment. It's not necessarily that you have a lot of divergence aloft. You do, meaning there's air being dispersed out away from the storm system. You can see these little lines with the arrows pointing out away from this storm system. It's more so that this system sort of creates its own environment because there's just lack of flow in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So therefore, it kind of creates its own flow. It creates its own environment. Therefore, it's able to just really take off, cocoon itself with moisture. And since there's just a very low shear environment because there's lack of steering currents, because these steering currents, yeah, they steer these storm systems, right? But they also can create some wind shear. There's lack of that down here. So this system is able to really take off. And that's why these trends to the west are very concerning for an exploding potential with the strength of Melissa. So now that we're done past that, let's continue to move forward. And yeah, this is a dangerous storm system potential here. As far as energy, and moisture across the country currently with today's forecast. We got an upper low spinning around areas of eastern Canada and the northeast and Great Lakes region. So we're getting some chilly showers spinning around, not quite cold enough for really any substantial snows up here or anything. Maybe a little bit of snowflakes mixing in some of these areas, maybe up here. But certainly just a spinning upper low, a little bit of moisture in the southwest rising up out of the Pacific. Watches, warnings, and advisories. Not a whole lot going on. Some dense fog across the deep south, a few freeze warnings. As far as any kind of severe weather risks, not much of it. We got a general risk of thunderstorms up in the northeast. And we could get some lake effect. Well, we are going to get some lake effect rain bands, not snow bands, off the Great Lakes. Really, Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, that actually could produce a little bit of small hail. I could see it happening. But any kind of flooding threats, no, not really. So moving past this, the southeast, just bone dry today. I mean, some thunderstorms possible in the southern tip of Florida. But yeah, nothing to really talk about. Now, northeast, different systems swinging through. Showers, heavy rain action across areas of Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire. Some of these could produce some small hail. Colder air kind of works in behind this, and we get some pretty gnarly lake effect rain bands off Lake Erie. A little bit of action off Lake Ontario, but this could actually produce some heavy rainfall, a few inches. So the south central U.S., not much to speak on. Hope you guys are well. A little bit of action in Colorado, New Mexico. North central U.S., some lake enhanced action across the Great Lakes region. UP and Michigan, just a chilly, showery day. Same thing with lower Michigan, areas of Wisconsin. Just kind of a teaser of what's to come eventually. It's going to be cold enough for snow, and eventually tonight, some of these bands could mix with snow. You see some pockets of blue here later tonight, and then we get into tomorrow, and I really think it's going to be a possibility if you live in areas of the UP and Michigan, a little bit away from the lakes. Some of these will mix with some wet snowflakes. Let me know what you see up there. Lisa, Steven, all my folks up here in the UP. A little bit of moisture scattered about in the western U.S. as the system kind of digs through. Nothing too crazy to write home about. Chilly conditions up here in the interior northeast and the Great Lakes region, but just not even close enough for any of this lake enhanced action to be really snow until we get maybe into later tonight in the UP. Southern tier of the country, it's warm but comfortable, not overly hot, and it's pretty comfortable out west. Folks, that's all I got. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all. Praying for you folks down here in the Caribbean. Let's see if we have a new update. We don't. Dangerous situation certainly unfolding. God bless all y'all. Have a wonderful day, and we will most likely have another video tonight.